Welcome back. In this session, we will discuss how the concept of operator overloading as well as inline function is implemented in C++. To understand the concept of function overloading, one should know what is function. Functions are nothing but they are basic building blocks of C++ programs. Now in each and every C++ program, there is a function called as main function. So when we write main function, we write its return type as an integer. That's the reason the last statement inside main function is nothing but return statement, return 0. So whenever we are going to use some user defined function in our program, there are three important things. The first is that function need to be declared, that function need to be called, and that function need to be defined. The syntax for function declaration is return type space function name then argument list, right? Now this is also called as function declaration or function prototype. Now in this function prototype, we need to provide only type of the variables that we are, or we can say only the type of arguments that we are going to pass, or along with type we can provide argument name as well. For example, let's say I want to write a function with name add. Let's say return type is void, function name is add. So either I can, let's say I want to add two integers. So either I can say int a comma int b semicolon, right? This statement is nothing but function prototype or function declaration. This is absolutely fine. If I don't provide variable names, if I write only int comma int, this is also okay. That means in function declaration, it is not compulsory to provide argument names. It is absolutely fine if you provide argument type. Now, what exactly function overloading is? This is a feature of C++ which allows us to have more than one functions of same name to exist in the same program, and such functions are referred as overloaded functions. But while overloading functions, there are certain rules that need to be taken care of. One of the important rule is those functions which we are going to overload in the program, they should have different signature. Now C++ allows to have function with different signature. When we say different signature, that means the function should differ in terms of number of arguments or their types or both. Even we can say in terms of sequence also. For example, I can have one function of name add which takes two integers. Now in the same program I can have one more function, let's say void add, and this function takes 1, 2, 3 integers. Absolutely fine. See, although the functions names are same, but they differ in signature, right? When we say function signature, which are the points? Number of arguments, right? Type of arguments or both. Now here in the first add function, there are two arguments of type integer, and in second we have 3 arguments. So they are having, although they are having same name, that is add, but their signature is different. Another case could be, in second case I may have float comma float. Now here in first add, the parameter type is integer, there are two parameters. In second case also there are two parameters, right? The count is same, that is 2, but here the parameter are of type integer and here parameter of type float. This is also absolutely fine. We can have such type of functions in our program. Another example could be, in first function I am passing one integer and float, so I am passing two parameters int and float, and in second case I am passing float and int. So can we have such functions in our program? Yes. See, here their type is same. If you look at here, we have int float and here we have float int. Even count is also same. In either case we have two parameters, but their sequence is different. Here we have sequence, first parameter integer, second is float. Here first parameter is float, second is integer. Absolutely fine. We can have such type of functions in our program and they are referred as overloaded functions. Now if I change the return type, for example void int, instead of void I have written there int. Now can I have such functions in my program? Yes, because when we say function overloading rules, return type of function is never considered. So we can say return type is not a criteria for function overloading. So what we have to think of first is their type should be different, right? Their sequence should be different, and number of parameters should be different. These are the 3 points that need to be considered while overloading functions in a program, and this is a concept which is unique to C++. Now the next concept is inline functions. Now we have seen that in a program we can have user defined functions. So whenever we write our own function, so we need to call that function. So whenever we call a function, control jumps from calling function to called function, right? And before it jumps from calling function to called function, it stores the return address of the next instruction to be executed on a something called a stack. Stack is a data structure which is used to execute function calls, right? So on a stack, not only the you can say the address of the parameters or variables, but the return address of the next instruction to be executed is stored on a stack. Now when the control jumps from calling function to called function, it executes all the statements, and when the either the return statement or closing bracket is encountered, it again comes back to the calling function, right? Now let's say such function I am calling in a program, let's say 100 times, right? So 100 times this procedure is to be done by the compiler, which creates overhead to the compiler, right? So to avoid overhead to the compiler, C++ has provided a feature called as inline functions. Okay, so if a function is declared as inline at the time of compilation, the body of the function is expanded at the point at which it is invoked, right? So we can say inline functions are enhancement of the C++ which are designed to speed up the program. See, if I am calling a function, let's say 10 times, so what will happen? The overhead to the compiler will be increased, right? So what the procedure that I told, what is the procedure? Whenever a function call is executed, the return, whenever the function call statement is executed, the return address of the next instruction is stored on a stack. The control jumps from calling function to called function, it executes all the statements, and whenever the curly bracket is encountered, closing bracket is encountered, control again come back to the calling function and it executes the rest of the instructions till the closing bracket of the main is encountered, right? So this is overhead to the compiler, and to avoid that we have inline function. So when we use the keyword inline with function definition, make a note that keyword inline is used with the function definition, not with the function declaration, right? So this keyword expands the function definition at that place itself. So there is no need to jump from here and there, right? So the function is expanded at the point at which it is invoked, right? So the process of jumping to function code, carrying out stack operations and jumping back is absent in inline functions, as we have that in case of the normal functions, right? So each inline function call leads to the creation of a copy of the function code, right? So the place wherein we have called the function, at that place itself the function definition is copied or it is replaced, right? Here is one example of the inline functions, but before that we will see there are some restrictions on inline functions. See, we cannot use an inline keyword with a function definition having a large number of statements, right? So whenever the functions are having very small number of lines, or we can say when the functions are small functions, right, or such functions are used with the inline keyword, or there should not be recursion in such kind of functions, right? Or even the functions which are having loops, such functions cannot be expanded, right? So make a note that when we use inline keyword with function definition, it is a request to the compiler, right, that inline substitution of the function body is to be preferred to the usual function call implementation. So that request could be either granted or not to be granted. It depends on the compiler, right? If you are having, let's say, huge code and if you are using inline keyword in the function definition, maybe compiler will not accept your request, right? So here we have taken one example. So example is of square. It is a function to calculate square of a number. So this is a user defined function, and this function accepts an integer. That integer name is number, and this function returns integer. And here we know the square of the the area of the formula to calculate square is number into number. That value is returned. But here we are using keyword inline with the function definition. We are not, or there is no need to use keyword inline with the function declaration. Okay. So this is you can say some concept regarding inline function. Now there is one task for you. Now you will try to write a program to calculate area of circle using inline function. Try this. Okay. So that's all from my side. Feel free to ask your doubts. Thank you for listening.